So welcome to Gardening at 58 North. This is a continuation of one of my series where I go around my house showing all my different houseplants. So this is my spare room where I have quite a lot of plants. Basically I'm not in this room very often. It's kind of like a spare bedroom for guests and things. We've got a sofa bed here, so I don't come in here very often. So this is more my less interesting plants, more my boring plants that I don't really need to see every day. Plants that might not need looking after as much. Also in winter, it's now November, I keep this door closed and I don't heat this room as much just to save on heating costs. So instead of being about 19-20 like the rest of my flat, it's probably more like 16-17 degrees, so it's a bit cooler. So I have to keep that in mind with the plants I have here as well. It's south facing window though, southeast facing, so it's got a very good aspect. It gets a lot of daylight. So it gets a lot of light here on the windowsill. I also have this near the window, so I can have plants on this. It doesn't get a huge, it gets a decent amount of light with the plants here, but not a lot. I also have some plants up here. So you can see they're quite a bit away from the light of the window, but these are plants that can take a bit of shade, so they're actually okay there. So starting off on the windowsill, I've got, and this is actually some seedlings from a bonsai kit I had. Supposed to have lots of different seeds, and then you're supposed to germinate them, and then you're supposed to grow little bonsai plants. So this is the second lot of seeds I've sown. They're actually dying back now because it's November and they're deciduous. Most of the plants in here are actually silver birch, so you'd expect them to die back at the moment. So I'll let them overwinter outside and bring it back in spring. This is one from the first batch I did. It's a silver birch, it's growing very big. That also needs putting outside so that it can die back naturally for winter, but it's grown very big, very vigorous, large leaves, so I'm going to have to do a lot of work on this to turn it into a bonsai. But it's the first year, and I'm just trying to get a bit of height and a bit of thickness to the stem, so I don't mind that growing big and vigorous for the first year. Then here we have one of my nice flowering cacti. Name eludes me, I'll just put it up on the screen now. I got this. It's one of my Switzerland cacti actually that I got a cutting from, and then I grew it at home at my parents about 3 years ago. Then about this time last year I went up north and I took a cutting, and it was just this tiny bit here. Then just after that it grew this long stem all summer long, just very slowly. It grew this one a little bit over the summer, you can see that's not as long. And then just in the last month or two it's grown this at the end of the summer, in autumn, so it's growing a lot. And you can see 2 new shoots down there. I'll keep you updated with that one because that should have some really nice flowers for spring. I'm giving it quite a high potassium feed. We're giving it tomerite to try and encourage flowering, so hopefully we'll get some gorgeous flowers because this has really big flowers on this cacti. And then we have another Ficus benjamina cutting, there's quite a few of them here. And then we have my Texas Glory cactus. Got this online about quite a few months ago now, 3 or 4 months. It hasn't grown a lot, it hasn't flowered yet, but I've read that it flowers in spring, so hopefully in spring I'll get some really nice flowers on that. And here's one of my Patsipodiums. I actually bought it online as a Fockia. Here's the label. But it's very obviously not a Fockia. It's definitely a Patsipodium. I think this is succulent, but I'm not sure, so I'll have to keep you updated with that one, how it goes. I've done another video where I've repotted it and brought it up because this is growing quite interestingly. The top half hasn't grown a lot. It's grown a bit of more height, and but the main thing it did is it's really fattened up its roots. It's got this really fat, fleshy root now, so it's looking really quite good. It's dropped a few leaves with the stress of replanting, and now it's coming into autumn, but it's doing fairly well. This is my Venus flytraps. I've done a few videos on this already. It's looking quite healthy. I mean, I've only had it for about 2 or 3 weeks, so can't say much about it. But this will also be going outside soon because this needs to have a cool period where it goes dormant. So I'll be taking that out soon. Here's my Streptocarpus. It's only just come onto this windowsill. It was actually in a really shady position, so it's kind of run out of energy now. It's stopped flowering, but it was flowering all summer, so it was looking really good. Now I'm just trying to get some more light onto it, and hopefully get it flowering again in spring, because it really needs to start flowering again. Up here I've got my poinsettia. It's doing alright. It's just starting to turn red in a few places. You can see the leaves. I've already done a video about that turning red. So hopefully, as long as I keep it in the right conditions, that will be nice and red by Christmas. I've got my gloxinia here, which I repotted up in a recent video. That's dormant, so there's not much to see. I've got some cuttings of some leaf cuttings of my jade plant, which are just coming along. They were done quite recently, so they're not growing yet. I've got some more cuttings here, several different plants like streptocarpus, a few cacti and money plant. Some more cuttings here. And moving down, I tried a few of these terrariums. This is just one I tried. It's not doing very well, but it's worth a shot, I suppose. I've also got a big tray of succulents. Basically, I don't have enough space on my windowsills at the moment for my plants, so these are a load of cuttings, and I might try and replace some of the plants I've got on the other windowsills with these succulents. So these are just kind of in suspended animation at the moment. They're rooted, but I'm just keeping them really dry and quite shady so they don't grow, so they stay small. And then when I decide that I've got enough space, I'll put some out into large pots into the rest of the house. I've got another terrarium here, which is kind of okay. Made a little wax model skull in the cave down there, but it hasn't quite gone to plan. This one plant has gone a bit crazy, and the money plant's just kind of stayed still, so it hasn't gone quite as to plan. Also, all my thyme seedlings rotted off because it was too damp in here, but otherwise it's doing quite well. And here's some more money plants that I've had, lots of little cuttings from before. So moving along, I've got my cane begonia, or sometimes called angel wings begonia. This has got quite a long history, the original plant of this. The original plant, back in 2000 or 1999 maybe, I bought a cutting, quite small, probably only about so tall, and it grew in my old house for years and years, and it got absolutely huge, grew to the ceiling. It's still growing at a parents' house, but they keep it well trimmed now. So this is a cutting from that, which was also only about this tall when I bought it to Edinburgh about a couple of years ago. As you can see, it's growing really big. It has flowered, but I'm just keeping it in the shade now because it's just growing so fast. It's getting a bit out of control, so I'm just keeping it in the shade, small pot, so it doesn't get too big for my flat. And here I've got some more cuttings of Ficus benjamina. Got lots of lovely roots in there. They're doing well, but I've got no space for them, so I'll probably just give them away to friends and stuff, because if I start potting them into plant pots, I'm just going to have too many of them, so that's probably what I'll have to do with them. And then lastly, I've got my grandmother's pile of palm here. It's looking okay. It was in a really small pot-bound pot, so I repotted it. This pot, unbelievably, is actually about 5 times bigger than the original, so it was in a really small pot. One of the worst root-bound plants I've ever seen, and you can see how close the stems are together, so it really needed repotting. And it's finally started to green up, and it's doing okay. I'm just making the most of that, being able to tolerate shade and having it out of the way so that I can have space for my plants that need more daylight. So that's my final plant room, I think. There's no more, but I might start this series again as the year goes on and the plants start changing. So that's it for now.